You're tuned into Rolling on the Road, Special Edition with Dr. Kimberly Barrington. Take it away.
Good afternoon. How are you?
How are
How are you?
you? I'm good.
Good,
How are you?
good. Today we are rolling all the way to Washington, D.C. to meet with author Zaneta Adams. Many of you have text, commented, and said you cannot wait for this show. Trust me, you can't. As women, we always have the difficulty in saying no. It starts from the time that we get pregnant. And those little persons pop out of us, and we want to look at them and say, no, I'm tired. I don't want to hold you. I don't want to feed you. And it starts there with them. I think we don't want to tell them no. But I know that there comes a time when we even have to tell our children no, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. And we learn no at an early age, right? We learn it in our youth. That's probably one of the first words we hear from our parents is no. So it definitely carries a negative connotation for many.
I think that's where it starts, that we're told no at such an early age. Then we think that it's wrong to tell people no, because I was always told no, you can't have, you can't do, you can't be, no, 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 no. When you made the decision to write the book, were you at a pivotal moment where you needed to say no?
Yeah. So I started writing my book about 4 years ago, a little bit over 4 years ago. I remember I was at Amy Grant, the Grammy Award winner, the singer. I was at her house. I was there for a camp I was helping her with, and I just remember for many years of my life, my career, from even when I was going to law school to, I had 6 kids at home, and I was doing things. I was running around, helping veterans organizations, going to retreats, all of this stuff. And I remember there were many people in my life, including those close to me, who would be like, do you ever say no to anything? Or, what don't you do? That's one thing I've heard so many times, like, what don't you do? And it just really resonated to me that, I say yes all the time. And I say yes because I want to be helpful. I say yes because I feel like as a woman of God, saying yes means I'm serving. It means that I'm helping. It means that I'm taking something off somebody's plate, or, helping them financially or whatever. If they ask me, then they need it. So I need to say yes. And in that moment of rest and time, I had some downtime to just really take in the scenery and the beauty of where I was at. God spoke to me and was like, you need to exercise more discernment in your responses. And I had been practicing that over a few years, like even being married. I recognized that the decisions that my husband and I made when we were in alignment always worked out better than when I just decided I wanted to do something and we weren't in alignment.
Mm.
And so I was like, you know what? These are things that, the little pieces that I've taken over the years and the direction that I need to go in is something that I need to write about. I need to share it, because how many of us are in a constant state of yes? So that's kind of where the inspiration came from. As far as a pivotal moment, I think I just had gotten to the point where, like I said, God spoke to me and said that, you need to exercise more discernment, and more of my people need to as well.
So you were at Amy Grant's house when it hit you about saying it's okay to say no.
It's okay to say no, but it's our duty to say no when God has not willed us to do that. It's our obligation. It is faithful to seek his guidance first. And that's what really resonated with me. So it took me so long to finish the book because of all the things that I was doing and things I had to move off my plate in order to and be more mindful and start actually practicing the things that I was soon to write about. Yeah, it was time, and it was the season, and And I feel like this book is going to hopefully, prayerfully change lives.
If it changed yours, it should change others, because that's what makes us the expert. Is we do it, and then we can turn around and teach it, and people learn it, and then they begin to do it as well.
Yeah.
How did you come up with the chapters? Were they based off of an experience, or how you started, or was it because of how you started processing your no, or both?
So it was funny. The title of the book came to me right away. Like when I thought about writing, The Art of Saying No While Staying in the Will of God came to me, and it just stuck. Like I did not change the title across the entire time that I started writing it. And how, I don't know how other writers process, but how I start processing this was like, what does no mean? Where did no start? So I literally, before I started writing anything, I did what they taught us in school. I started outlining, and the
With the
outlining
outline, yes.
were my chapters, right? And so, and as I think when I first started, I probably had maybe 5 or 6 or 7 chapters, titles, and the titles have changed over time. But then I ended up with the 18 chapters of this book. But it was really from what no meant. And there are some of your viewers right now that are probably like, well, I don't have a problem saying no. Well, guess what? This book is still for you, because there are chapters in here that talk about our discernment and yeses. There's areas here that talk about, it's all about discernment, but it also talks about the doors that God continually opens for some of us that we are afraid to walk through, or we think it's not our time. We think we're not ready. We think it's somebody else's opportunity, and we continue to say no. So this is not just about those folks, the yes women and men out there. This is for those who struggle with saying yes as well. And so I just started outlining, and I start working on and thinking about, what does no really mean? How is no informed? And so that's what really started to form my chapters. So like really the trauma response, or when we hide in our yes, right? When yes becomes a hiding place. Like, I have a chapter when hesitation is the sin. So when we're hesitating, and even thinking about how our responses have to be definitive. We don't always say yes. I mean, you have children, right? We don't always say yes. We don't always say no. Sometimes it's like maybe, or I'll think about it, right? Is that leaving the door open? Are we being definitive in our responses? So that's how it kind of came. It was more organic. I started making this outline. And then as I started writing, God continued to reveal over the last 4 years more areas that I needed to open up and speak about, even very personally, in how we respond and how we are exercising or not exercising discernment.
I think you made a really great point earlier in your speak when you said, when I made decisions on my own, you said I'm married, and when I made decisions on my own, whether it was a yes or a no, you saw the difference than when you turned to your husband and said, do we say yes or no?
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that's because you were now being accountable to someone else other than yourself in your yes or your no?
I think it was accountable, but also aligned. And the thing is that when you get married, and I'll say it from as a Black woman, growing up with strong Black women, it's kind of like I grew up in the sense watching women who, like, you're not going to tell me what to do. You're not going to,
yes.
Like, submission is a hard thing, right? And I think for a long time we understood submission as obedience, and it's not. So I struggled with that, and I also struggled with being accountable to what God called me to be as a wife. And so what I had to really come to terms with was that, and this was before I started writing the book, but what I really had to come to terms with was that we became one when we got married. We're not 2 separate entities. We can have our interests because God brought us here separately, right? We can still do our things, but we have to be in alignment on those things. And I'll give you a prime example. Somebody would come to us and ask for money, right? And me, I'm like, yeah, we have it. Let's give it, right? And my husband, or vice versa. And my husband is like, well, let's think about that. And what I learned from that, when we talked about it and we prayed about it and we waited on God to let us know how he wanted us to move, what I learned was God was speaking to us about maybe I put this person in this situation so that they could go to me and not every other person. And so if I keep stepping in to help someone that God has not said you need to assist, then I am taking away his lesson and I am interfering with his blessing. And so I don't want to interfere with what God's got going on for me or anybody else. And so that's why I think it's important, one, if you're married, that you are one and you come into one accord with your spouse on decisions, whether they're big or small, because the more you do it, it becomes like a muscle you're exercising. It becomes easier. It becomes effortless. And you almost already know the answer that your significant other is going to give you before you even ask.
True. The time is now 10 minutes after the hour. It is 4:10, and you're tuned into Rolling on the Road with Dr. Kimberly. Our guest today is author Zaneta Adams, and we're in Washington, D.C., guys. Look, it's nice.
I live in Michigan, but I'm here in D.C. today.
So we're just hold on just a minute. We have a comment. Let's see if I can. Good afternoon. Dr. Vertanji says good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for watching Dr. V. She's in Detroit, Michigan. So Detroit is in the house. Thank you, thank you, thank you. A couple of things that you said that I wanted to address. The first one was about submission. When you submit, it is reciprocal. It is not one is dominating over the other. And many times people, women don't understand that.
Mm-hmm.
And some men don't understand it because they say, well, you know what? The Bible says you got to submit to me.
And what does that mean, right?
However, it's something that we are doing together and not one over the other.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when it works well.
Yeah.
It's when we do it the way that God says that we're supposed to and not have our own interpretation of what submission looks like.
Yeah.
And the other piece that I love about how you wrote is going through your own experiences and writing them down and saying, hey, what does this look like? Or getting to that fork in the road and say, do I say no or do I say yes? Mm-hmm. Especially when it comes to money. And you were saying that you didn't want to take away God's glory. I learned that early, and it's not even, it doesn't even have to be money, whether it's a ride, can I stay with you? Or can I have your time? Can I text message you? Can I call you? All of that is included because for busy folks like us, time is money. Money is time. And how we steward our time makes the difference on how productive that we can be. And I want to say having children. Now they're adults now. The twins are 39 years old. So I don't have any more children. I have adults. Mm-hmm. The pair is 39 and the spare is 32. Mm-hmm. They taught me on how to say no or when to say yes. Because am I enabling you at this point? And if I'm teaching you to have a relationship with God, then I'm not going to be your God. I think that was the most difficult for my daughter because I have I have two sons and a daughter. And it's always, well, I have your grandchildren. I'm your only daughter and I'm the oldest, so you should. Says who? Says what? Where's that written? No. That's something that you made up so that you can get what you want. And I just remember having the conversation with her. I said, you have children. And I said, so this is a life lesson. This is legacy that I'm passing on to you that will go from generation to generation, that I can't be your God and I will not allow myself to be your God.
Yeah. I mean, that's so important. I mean, I have 6 children. I have two sets of twins and 2 spares. And so, and so they definitely will teach you, and not only will they teach you, they will help you to grow in the space that you need to grow. My hope is that I started doing what I needed to do soon enough where they're taking that lesson forward for me as well. If not, they can just read the book, right? But that's my
Wait a
hope.
minute, wait. She said, or they could just read the book. Let.
But yeah, I completely agree, and I think that we as people who want to be givers, we think that we have to say yes to everything. And I even talk about saying yes to everything at church as well. I mean, we can get so busy doing all of the things at church and being a part of every church group and helping out with the worship and everything like that, that we neglect our families, or we are more short with our families because we're tired from all the work that we're doing. God did not call us to be busy.
He didn't. I always tell people when they want to do something, get involved in ministry, you need to understand that your family and your husband is your first ministry.
That's your ministry. Yeah.
That is your first
Absolutely.
ministry.
Absolutely. And I think that, and that's why, I talk about trauma informed responses, and not from the level of I'm a clinical physician or anything, a psychologist. But, I talk about the fact that where is our desire to always say yes? Where's that coming from? Is it something that's innate? Is it something we're used to? Is it something that we're just trying to be kind? Or is it something that, like in my situation where my no was taken from me early on, like it was not respected. My no was not respected. And so then I felt it was easier. Subconsciously, I felt it was easier to say yes than to have the conflict of saying no. And if you don't get the right counseling, if you don't have the right awareness, then you're going to miss that. And then your trauma informed responses will inform everything you do. And a lot of times when we're saying yes to all of these things presented to us because we can do it, even though we can't do it well if we are overburdened, they're rewarded. Those things are rewarded. Overworking is rewarded. Like it's and so then we're getting a gratification from it, but we're also losing a piece of ourselves. We're losing rest, and we're losing peace of mind, and we're losing enjoyment and joy in some areas because of that.
I have to do this right here. In my 60 years, that is one of the things that I have learned with dealing with people and being an advocate, being a change agent, and having run for office. People might complain, but they don't always want the change, or nor do they want the responsibility that comes from the change, because there's something that they benefit from always saying the yes. And you said it. It is the praise. It's the accolades because you kept saying yes, especially when it comes to church. Because I like the title of the book. It's not just saying no, but knowing that if you say no, that's in God's will for you to say no.
Yeah.
And some people may think that that's an oxymoron, but it's not.
Yeah, and I think too, it's not in God's will, but the part of the title of the book, The Art of Saying No, is important too, that we understand that once we say no, how do we respond, right? How do we continue with that no? How are we justified and someone's not talking us back out of our no? How do we engage people who are not satisfied with our no, or who don't like our no, right? I talk about that in the book as well, because it's really important to, I say in the book, and I have it on like other things and quotes, and even in some of the signatures I've done in books, no is a complete sentence. No, period.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So there was nowhere in the Bible that you saw Jesus explaining his no. Right? He didn't say, you know what? No, because, and we do that because we want to soften people's feelings. And I get it. No, I can't right now because I got all X, Y, and Z and all these things. And then next thing you know, you've gone on and you've ruminated and given this whole speech. And then now you're feeling like maybe I told too much. Listen, no, I can't right now. No, I don't have time for that right now. That's it. You don't have to go into a full explanation of your no. We're not called to do that either.
My biggest no is, hey, I have a friend that needs help And can you? And I say, before they even finish, I say, no. What? You're saying no? I said, yeah, I'm saying no. Well, why? And that's because I said no. I have the right to say no. But what I have found, and I think that we talked about it a little bit earlier, is that there are people who are struggling with their yeses and their nos. So while they're struggling, my answer has to be a no for you until you kind of get the yes and a no together. Because again, you don't want to be the one to take away what God is trying to teach them. You don't want to take the lesson away, and you don't want to be an enabler. And at the same time, you need to protect you, your time, your health, your emotional health, and just your general well being. That there are times that I just have to say no.
And your purpose. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you're saying yes to everything, then where do you find room to do what God actually called you to do? There's a whole chapter where I have all of these titles of what people have called you, right? They the titles that you didn't necessarily ask for, but that's what you are. And one of the titles is basically the one who always responds, the one who's always there for everyone. And
Oh, the favorite one that everybody loved was Olivia Pope's line. Her coming in and being the fixer, and that was a really big, uh, I want to say, saying, and it was a big movement that people were. I want to be like that. I want to be like her. But you don't realize the cost of being that person who doesn't say no.
yeah, and being that person that is, and again, I don't want to mistake being reliable from being busy, because it's good that we're reliable, right? It's good that we're somebody that if someone needs something, they can call on us. But we also have to be people that respect someone's responses. And there's so much offense out there when, like you mentioned, when someone says no to something, it's like I'm offended. Like, well, I don't even want to talk to that person anymore because they said no to me. Like, we have to respect that if it's for you and it's in your season for this person to be and stepping into that role, then that's what it is.
Mhm.
If not, keep it moving.
I had a comment come to me a few weeks ago, and I'm trying. There was a political issue that was happening, and I asked this person to be a voice, and their response back to me, they couldn't because I told someone no. It wasn't even that I told them no, but they felt I gave someone else a no, and their life situation is not better because of me because I said no. And you know what? I never responded back to that person. I let them sit in that. They want that's fine.
Yeah.
But there are
Yeah.
times where you just have to say no. And have you had that experience where someone else, you have that group and then there's somebody else that sends someone to you and you have to say no. And then you have all these the sideline that says, well, why did you say no? You should have said yes.
Yeah. Well, and that's, and that kind of gets to a section of my book that I wrote as well. When other people are trying to speak for you, and a lot of times they're well-meaning. A lot of times, it could be church, it could be family, that are pushing you towards a response that God has not called you to. And you
Mhm.
have to stand your ground, and you have to trust that God will work it out the way it's supposed to work out. Um, and unfortunately, there may be some feelings that are hurt, not intentionally, but there may be feelings that are hurt because of your no. Because again, you're always showing up. And so there's an expectation that you will this time too. She's going to just help me out, or he's going to just help me out. And so I know
Mhm.
I can always call Zaneta, or I can always call Dr. Kim on this and that matter. And then when you say no, it's kind of like, it's like a dagger to my
What?
heart. Why are you doing this to me? Like, it's
God,
not even personal. How
it
about
is
it's
not
personal to me,
personal.
not you? It's,
Hmm.
I prayed about it. I thought about it. And so that's why I give people the response as well. Give me some time to pray about it, right? Let me pray about this. So then when I come back to you and I give you my response, know that I've prayed about it. And if it's a no right now, then you take that up with God. Don't take it up with me because I gave it to him. He spoke to me, and it's just not the time or the season. I don't have the capacity for it. and it's not moving me towards where he wants me to go next. So,
well, I would just err on the side of caution that we don't want to use God as somebody who's going to be the mediator for his children and they're playing games. Well, that's just saying, well, mom said no. Okay, so we're going to say no. No.
But listen, I lean on the Bible all the time. When people ask me things and they're like, well, they don't like my answer, and I pulled it right from scripture, I'm like, I didn't write the Bible. I'm just telling you what it says. So if you're upset about it, then you need to take that up with your father. Like, you asked me a question and I'm giving you the response. And so for me, it's the same. Like, if I've prayed about it and I've told you my answer, and I don't have to give explainers, but maybe I do, and you still can't respect that, then maybe there's something that you need to be looking at that God is trying to show you as to why I can't help you right now. And that's what I mean about it. Like, we have to look inward sometimes, and that goes for us when we're seeking something, right, from someone else and they tell us no. We have to say, okay, Lord, why not that person? Or are you sending me in a different direction? Are you trying to do something and move? Do you not want me moving forward on this? We need to start asking those questions. And maybe before we even ask somebody, we need to ask those questions so that we don't get to that point where we're offended by somebody else's response. But all of it goes back to discernment.
That's true. I had to give a clap on that one, because that hit the nail right on the head. Is the person who's asking, and if it has to be the no, has not consulted God yet. Because I said, did God tell you to come and ask me?
Yeah.
Oh,
well, it's like those guys. I don't know how many. Wait, Dr. Kim. I don't know how many times when I was younger, somebody would come up to me like, God told me you were the one. I'm like, well, he didn't say that to me.
Oh my gosh. I had this guy. He was nice looking too. I'm not going to tell no lie. He was nice looking. He owned his own business, was doing well. And I mean, he was a nice guy, but he came up to me and he says, the Lord told me that you were going to be my wife. And I said, I just got done talking to him before I came in here and he didn't tell me.
Yeah. I would think that it would be a conversation he would have with both of us. Yeah. So, and that's the same concept. I mean, it seems outlandish and crazy, but that's the same concept. God told me to do this and reach out to you. Well, I would think that if he's the God that I know, he would have sent me a sign too. He would have told me too that I was going to be the one to come to save the day for you, or to be the one to marry you, or take this opportunity, or whatever.
Absolutely. Let's and then do it. And then one more time.
Okay.
Yeah. That piece right there. And it teaches people to take responsibility for their own stuff and their own life, is what it really does. Because now you have to stop and say, how did I get here? What is it that I needed? Is there something that I needed to do before I came to you? Because sometimes if I'm saying no, it's because there are, 3 other things that you have to get done before you can come and it might be a yes, or it can be a yes.
Well, and it may not be the season, Dr. Kim. And that's the other thing. Like you hit it right there. It may be not right now. God may be saying not right now. And that's with helping someone, or that's even with, opportunities. Like I talk about in the book, how my path to the White House, and how, I said no 2 out of the 3 times I was asked to go work for the president. And it was one of those things. I went through a season. It was heartbreaking. I felt like I was Abraham, and part of that season, like God had given me this great opportunity and I had to say no. And it was like a sacrifice. And I'm like, I don't want to do it, but this is what he spoke to me. And he did, and twice. Right. And so then I was like, this opportunity is never going to come back around. And when it came back around, it was the right opportunity for me, almost like the job.
And you know what? It was at the right time for you, though.
It was at the right time. It was in the right season, and it was the exact right position. Yeah.
Yeah. There were some things that were happening.
That was probably one of my favorite jobs I've ever had. Like, I would say probably hands down. I did a lot of work, but I had a really good time doing it. And I had a really great team, and it was aligned. But sometimes even opportunities that look great they're flashy, they look like they're purposeful, it was what we prayed for, we still have to ask and seek, God, is this the opportunity you want? Or is this the time and season for the opportunity that you want me to be in? Because that's so important. If I had said, a premature yes could have derailed everything.
Oh my goodness. Hold on. Wait a minute. That piece right there. And I just said this to somebody, yesterday, and I hope they really took it to heart, because there's an opportunity on the right and there's an opportunity on the left. And they believe that the opportunity on the right is the one, but then God gave them a whole nother answer on the left, that's where they need to go. Even though, oh my goodness, the position and the titling and the fame. And a lot of times we don't stop and look. We may have two good things, but God tells us in his word that we can be in his perfect will or we can be in his permissive will. And that's the same thing with our purpose. Either we're in our perfect purpose or we're in our permissive purpose. And trust, a lot of people stay at that permissive part and never move towards the perfect. And so it's like a domino effect. When you're not in your perfect purpose, there's people that are behind you that now it's like the domino effect. They don't get to be where they need to be because you're not aligned.
Yeah. And it's so true. And when we say yes, like you said, it may be permissive and things may go okay, but gosh, can you imagine if you thought about, there's a time and season for everything, and that's where there's a season for yes and there's a season for no.
Yes, a season for
and
no.
and if we really just waited on God, the amount of blessings that would be tripled and multiplied because we waited on him. And so I truly believe that, and I talk about in the book about David and Saul. David had an opportunity to get Saul in the cave, right? Saul was vulnerable. Saul was open, but God said, this is not the opportunity right now. That's the same thing we go to. It's like we could have gotten quick gratification, but what would it have derailed? And so while the opportunity looked right, it looked perfect. You're like, God, you just handed him up to me in this cave right here. Nobody's around him. There's people not here. I could just attack him and it'd be good. God said, no, not right now. And so the Bible is still true and still alive. And so we have to.
From Genesis to Revelation, John.
We have to honor that. Yeah. And so that's really, a couple of years ago, I became an ordained minister, and I really want this to minister to people. And, not everybody is at the same faith level. But I really do believe if you're someone who is seeking, who is always saying yes, or you're overburdened or you're overwhelmed because you have so much on your plate, this book is for you. Whether you are a believer or not, this book is for you, because it talks about, even if you take nothing else away, you should always take time to reflect on your decisions. Because as we know, our decisions could be the difference between life and death in this life. And so we need to take time to make our decisions wisely. And in a fast-paced world, sometimes we can't make those decisions. We can't meditate on those decisions, is what I'm saying. And so we have to have the practice of, are you speaking? I can't hear you.
I got the mute on. Oh. I want to do this right here.
Yeah, so I'm saying sometimes we have to have the practice.
Hold that point right there. I want people to get this, and I'm about to clap again. It is the art of saying no. That's the title of the book. But the most important piece that I want everybody to take away from this is what you just said. I don't even know if you knew the great importance of it. Is it becomes a part of who you are, because there are times when you don't have time to go and pray or fast about it. You have to know and think quick on your feet and have relationship enough with God, know yourself well enough to be able to say, no, I do not have the bandwidth for that right now.
Yeah.
But 2 years from now, I may. 6 months, I may. Maybe 2 weeks from now, I may. But once you start training yourself and then your body, and and you tighten up that relationship with the Lord and your prayer life,
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
It's like a muscle.
Hmm.
I had written this like I wrote like an article type thing. I don't even know if I ever submitted it, but when I was pregnant with my last set of twins, I was dealing with a lot of pain because I had already had my injury. I had already had my two back surgeries, and I couldn't take any pain meds except for like Tylenol while I was pregnant. So it was rough. And so I remember one night I was in so much pain, like this. I had this shooting nerve pain that made me want to like swear, cry it out, and God came to me in that moment, which was so remarkable. But he came to me in that moment and he gave me this analogy. He always gives me analogies. I'm like, I speak in
Yes.
analogies, parables, whatever. And I just remember thinking about the fact that when we are in pain, let's just say you hit your foot on the wall, the blood from your brain rushes to
Hmm.
that part of your body. And so it rushes away from your thought process. So what's in you is what's going to come out. So in that moment, I wanted to swear. I wanted to say a swear word. That's what was there when I was in a moment of pain. And so what God said, I had to train my mind to know the scripture, to know that by his stripes we're healed. And none of this too shall pass. All of that. I had to train my mind to replace the thoughts, but I couldn't do it in that moment. I had to do it beforehand and then after, so that when the blood rushed from my brain, what's in there is what's going to come out. And so it's the same thing about discernment. When we have this practice of testing everything against whether God wants us to do it or not, and then we're in a busy state where we're like, oh, it's a lot going on, I don't have time to sit and take a moment to really go into prayer, then it becomes innate what's in us. And then we
Hmm.
get this thought of when in doubt, don't, right? Or when in doubt, don't, or when in doubt, delay. But the bottom line is that we don't rush to decisions because it's what's natural. So when we're in crisis, the blood rushes from our brain. And so you have to keep that in mind. So what's there, it's what's going to manifest.
That's it. We're going to say thank you so much to Autumn Hartpence for tuning in. Hey, Autumn.
Hey, Autumn.
We are now at the bottom of the hour. It is four. I can't even see. Wait, put your glasses on. There you go.
4:37.
Thank you. It is 4:37, and you have been tuned into Rolling on the Road Special Edition. I should say the Washington by way of Michigan edition today, and we have been with author Zaneta Adams. I would like to, Vertaji, you were the first viewer to come on and to comment. So I would love to get you a signed copy of the book.
The book. And I also, if I can give a plug for those of you who may be willing to come to Muskegon on July 17th at 6 p.m. in Muskegon, I will be having an exclusive book signing. It'll be $50. You'll receive an autographed copy of my book. So if you already have one, you can grab one for a friend. You'll receive a swag bag. There'll be food. And I'll also be reading a passage from the book. Just food, fellowship. You can ask me questions. But I think it'll be a really good time and a really good networking. You can go to Eventbrite and search the book signing in Muskegon to find it. I'll also make sure that you have, oh, there you go, the link there for the book signing. I'll make sure Dr. Bailey gets a copy of this book, so you'll have to send me all the information. But I really would love to see you all out there, as a disabled veteran who, this is my debut book, but I know that this is not the last book I have in me, but this is I think one of probably the most important ones that I have in me. And so I would love for you all to show up, come out and support me, this book launch. And if you have a Bible study group, a group that you all read books, a book club, this is a great book for that. There's prayers in here at every chapter. There's a reflection in every chapter. And I wrote this with the intention that it would be shared amongst friends and colleagues and leaders as they go through this journey of learning how to say no, learning how to discern no, and learning how to respond when someone doesn't accept your no, and all the other things that come with that. So
Autumn says that she's reading your book now. I can get the I'm sharing your comments, but if you go to StreamYard, I will place I'm gonna click on here, and I'm gonna right click copy. Here's the event information. And it's, if you order your ticket online, you have to go through Eventbrite. It will be $55.20.
yeah. And so if you decide you want to come and you want to reach out to me directly on Facebook or whatever, you can do that. And then the $5 is the Eventbrite fee, unfortunately, to pay online. But yeah, so I would love to see you. I think it's going to be a great event. I'm excited about the group that's forming right now. And I'm glad that you're reading the book, Autumn. Listen, when you're done, make sure you do a review on the book. That helps me to help push it out some more. But I just pray that everyone's lives will be touched in the way that I know, as I prayed over this book, that they will be touched. So.
And there you go. The book is also available on Amazon for $19.99. If you're not able to come out, both of these will be posted to the page if you would like to go to the event on the 17th. And if you would like to purchase, or when you purchase, I should say, your book, here is the link for you to get your book.
And I will say it's available everywhere the books are sold. So if you have like an account with Barnes and Nobles and you get a discount, I know some people are telling me they got points and everything, you can buy it at Barnes and Nobles as well. So Barnes and Nobles, Amazon, Books A Million, wherever you can find it.
There we go. I think that, yep, it's up. I want to say I had the opportunity. That's sometimes nice when you are who you are in the relationship. I want to say thank you publicly. I said it, privately, but thank you publicly for choosing me to read the book before it hit the streets, even before it even got to the editor, to trust my input and for the trust.
No, absolutely. I appreciate you reviewing it and providing feedback. I think it's important to get, not to just put something out there, but to see, what people, how it resonates with people before you put a product out there. So I appreciate you taking the time to do that.
I couldn't wait to the show because I couldn't tell y'all. I'm like, I got so many principles. I'm gonna tell y'all these things. But I think we will definitely. We are building up more programming. We are going to our PPTV, which that'll be, coming out later, and filling up our time here on Rolling on the Road so that there is some programming every single day from folks around the world who have great messaging. And this will definitely be one of those that will be a part of that programming where you can come on and you can see, and, each chapter will be talked about. So yes. We'll have our own group here online on the show. Yes.
Absolutely. Well, listen, you can follow me at Zaneta Inez as well. And I know that I'll be doing a recording for West Michigan Tonight coming up soon. There's other opportunities where you can hear and listen and watch if you want. But I would love to see you all in the place on July 17th. If not, please order a copy of my book. Once you read it, write a review and share it with your friends. I would love that.
Well, we want to say thank you so much for allowing us to have this opportunity right before the grand, book release. And everything will be posted on all 6 platforms. So you will be able to find the book, find the event, and Dr. V will get you connected so that you can get your signed copy of the book. And thank you for being the first one on and the first one to comment. I got a special prize for you tomorrow. Got a great show. I know many of you saw the postings of the 100-mile ride to the Capitol by horseback. So you will start seeing some of the footage behind that. We were honored to be able to be the media to cover that historical ride that culminated. And we met, Lieutenant Governor met us out there on the East Lawn, along with the Michigan Veteran Affairs Agency Director, Terry Sabo, met us out there. It was amazing. So the 100-mile ride to the Capitol, they went from Zeeland, Michigan to Lansing, was to honor farmers and veterans. So they did receive a tribute from the governor's office. It was amazing. So you guys look for that tomorrow